Good morning, everybody. So exciting to see everybody out here. Got a lot of government, industry, and military partners here. I'm Commander Jonathan White. I'm the Cloud and Data Branch Chief for the Coast Guard. That's a brand new position that we created 2 years ago. It's finally formal after 2 years of change management and organizational realignment, but here we're here. And so I'm here to talk to you about stopping smugglers at sea and what the Coast Guard is doing to inject technology at the mission edge. And the first app up to bat is our Migrant Interdiction Operations app. So my role in the Coast Guard is to deliver commercial cloud and data services. We're delivering platform services so that the Coast Guard IT operators can consume those services and reduce their overall effort. The Coast Guard has 11 statutory missions. Those include defense, port security, marine environmental protection, search and rescue, and maritime law enforcement. The C5I Service Center is a key component of delivering this technology. The C5I Service Center is where I work. It's under our CIO shop, and it's how we get the job done and deliver technology to the mission edge. So today we're going to go a little bit over the Coast Guard's role in the maritime security world. We're going to look at how we did this, how did we pull this together in about 9 months' time, and where are we going in the future? So the U.S. Coast Guard is a primary law enforcement agency. We're the premier maritime law enforcement agency in the world. We operate within U.S. territorial seas and international waters. Our coverage ranges from all the way in the northeast U.S., where I used to operate on the Coast Guard Cutter Campbell, down into the Caribbean Sea, where I also operated on the Coast Guard Cutter Campbell. We are a mobile force as well. And the Pacific Ocean, which is a huge territory to operate in both the northern and southern hemispheres. We also operate in various international locations on demand as well. One of the primary missions that we do is this law enforcement. We focus on three main aspects. One of them is living marine resources, which is how we protect our fisheries and our wildlife stock. We also have migrant interdiction operations, which we're going to talk about today, and drug interdiction, which is a really important mission for us. You may see that in the news a lot, all the cocaine and marijuana busts that happen out there. That's driven by partnerships with Coast Guard, defense agencies, and the rest of the DHS. These missions are a core part of the Coast Guard operations and our activity. The operation scale and complexity is immense. The legal requirements that we have to follow are driving a need for advanced technical solutions that streamline the processing and delivering the data for decisions we need in order to better position our assets to conduct this mission. So migrant interdiction operations. This is a very sensitive mission. It's primarily humanitarian in nature. We are trying to save lives at sea. As you can see, this doesn't look very safe, but this is the norm. This is what we interdict and prevent a catastrophe from happening at sea. And we also protect the livelihoods of these individuals who may be being taken advantage of. So another aspect, the law enforcement aspect of this, is to stop smuggling, to find people who are at sea, who are wanted. Maybe they have a warrant, maybe they're a terrorist. They are conducting a lot of these operations, or at least part of the process of these operations. And we want to be able to find them and hold them accountable for this. There's been an unprecedented surge of migrant departures at sea since late 2021. It has absolutely strained our business processes and our IT infrastructure to respond to those. So when I was on the Coast Guard Cutter Campbell, as I alluded to, back in 2006, we actually interdicted a migrant vessel off the coast of Haiti. That vessel had 120 people on board, and you could probably fit that vessel on stage here where I'm walking. So we brought them on. We had paper. It was all paper at that time. We processed everybody on board. And there's some things that you don't think about in this mission set that are so critical to the execution of it. They're coming with families. So it's not just single people, right? They're coming as a group. You need to maintain that integrity of that group. They're coming with belongings that you need to follow and track through. There might be so many that you can't bring them on the ship physically, I was the damage control assistant. I used to have to do calculations on the stability of the vessel based on how many people were on the flight deck. And so you might need support, which means you're transferring those individuals from ship to ship, and you got to be able to account for that activity. Well, we brought them on board, and this is the downside to this mission. Unfortunately, we had to bring them back to Haiti. That's the rules. And so we brought them back to Port-au-Prince, and we ferried them off the vessel. And honestly, it's a good luck kind of scenario. So this is a very serious, very dramatic mission. It's focused on humanitarian assistance, and this is why we're doing this today. So along with that, as the years go on, and as we're able to invest more time and energy in being more professional about tracking things, anything, we have an increased reporting burden on us as well. And we need to be able to track end to end how this mission is performing, how I can better position my assets to increase the odds of success of this mission. And I need to be able to show that we're taking this very seriously from a humanitarian aspect. That drove a need for a technological solution in order to solve this problem. So this is our modernization journey, starting from that point of mid-2021 migrant surge. We got an immediate demand signal from the field. We need to do something about this. So our teams were queued up. We went through a requirements analysis process. We looked at the entire mission space and said, what are you doing at each of the phases of this mission, and how could we improve what you're doing at each of those phases? How can we improve, as I like to refer to in hacking your bureaucracy, how can we improve the gap between the silos, right? When you're transitioning information from one office to another office. That's a very key aspect of this implementation. So we established requirements, we built a program, we got funding established, we built an intermediary Excel macro workbook, which helped tide the people for a little bit, quickly outgrew that. So then we tried to build our first low-code application using the tools available to us. Proof of concept, we almost immediately outgrew that platform. So then we established the MIO app program officially. We officially call that phase 3, and that's where we are today. So starting in December, we started development of the application. We used a commercial version of the Appian platform and developed a prototype. We were able to move quickly in that domain. Meanwhile, my team was queued up on the infrastructure side to begin deployment of a DoD Impact Level 5 certified platform as a service offering that we could migrate the code to and continue operations. So my part came in March. We began building out the platform. We actually use it as platform as a service. We connect it to our Coast Guard cloud through our secure cloud architecture. And then we finished in tandem as a team. So from March to August, we worked intimately with each other every single day, 30-minute stand-ups, every single week, check-in meetings, status reports, you name it. And we finished the job roughly August, September timeframe. We were down in District 7, which is the Caribbean district for the Coast Guard primarily. We trained the operators on the app. We got some feedback, did a little iteration, and then we started our operational testing and evaluation in September. There we go. So how did we do this? Because that's a cool timeline, very short. It's not to scale, but the problem is you have discrete departments in the government that do things for IT, and they're really self-serving, right? They do things for themselves, and they're happy, they get good marks, they meet the mission. We're rapidly leaving that world, all right? It's no longer acceptable to build a vertical application. We need to build layered applications where you start ostensibly with a commercial cloud provider, you move up to a platform service offering with a security layer, then you move up into a DevSecOps type environment where you empower the developer experience, and then you move into deployment of your app into production, inheriting all the security controls and features from the platform layer. The problem with that approach is you got to go across a lot of silos. And so that's where I come into the office. That was my mantra from day one. We're an enabler of mission advantage for the Coast Guard using those platforms. And we'll touch on that at the end of this brief. But this is our coordination piece. So this initially started with the sponsor and the users with a demand signal, came to the application teams, they built some prototypes, they got some feedback, and then they engaged us and said, hey, we need a platform that will meet the security requirements, otherwise we're not going to get an ATO. So we engaged the team, we got the procurement completed, we figured out the means to connect the platform, and all the while we're working with the development team to bring them onto the platform, enable their success, and to move through our dev, test, and production life cycle. There's also a huge requirement here on the industry side. Again, these are layers, right? And 3 of those layers are industry layers in most cases when you're using a low-code platform. And so each of those layers needs to be a strong partner in this journey. And we need to be able to leverage the full feature suite that we procure. And that's a key aspect for us where we're trying to deploy the suite, make it available, and ensure we get our value. So we're kind of the bridge component with the app team and the vendor trying to coordinate all those actions together. And then there's an ongoing life cycle that goes with this, where I take user feedback, I take feedback from my sponsor. Maybe I need to expand the mission space a little bit because of changing operational conditions. All of those things need to be done with speed and efficiency so that you can deliver the upgrades to the operational edge. The beauty of this cycle is that you no longer need to worry about deployment. What you really need to worry about is speed. And speed is the name of the game, and low-code platforms definitely bring us speed to market in this journey. So the migrant interdiction application, this is a screenshot of the front page, if you will, when you first log in. This is a bridging app. It works for field users, headquarters users, and analysts, all in the same experience. And so they're all seeing the same thing, they're all using the same lexicon, they're using the same data. That's a key aspect of this application. In the prior years with the Excel workbooks, how do you think those Excel workbooks got around? Oh yeah, that was an email, right? Every time you email something, you lose control of the data. And you lose control of the fidelity of that data and the provenance of that data. So think about that when you're doing these journeys. You want to never want the data to leave the experience, because in my mind, it becomes corrupt. I don't care if it's not or it is. So building these end-to-end experiences is incredibly important in this journey. And so this application, we use it to collect, organize, and track migrant data while integrating with future case management software. The Coast Guard is looking to modernize our case management in general, Case 1. And this is an important journey that we want to go on. If we do this right, it also builds confidence and credibility on number 2, 3, 4, 5, on and on. And what you will see is we start repeating patterns in how we do development, engagement with customers, engagement with my layer, the infrastructure layer. And we want to really instill these patterns in our daily life as we're doing IT modernization. And a primary goal of this is to eliminate our paper-based manual data collection at the edge. We want our sailors, our coasties, our sentinels, we want them to be using an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device or whatever they have with them, process the migrants as they onboard, maintain control of the situation, and be able to report to headquarters on what's going on. So this is the structure of the application. There's 4 main components: cases, where we do our case management, that's sort of the overarching piece; migrants, that's tracking migrant as a record and being able to correlate them together and group them together into a case. We also have transfers. Like I mentioned earlier, we do transfer individuals, families, and groups from one asset to another. from one location to another location. That needs to be documented. And reports at the headquarters element. What are we doing out there in the Caribbean or the Pacific? How do I know that this is working? You need to be able to show your work, and reports is a critical aspect of that. The blue boxes here are features and functions of the app. The gray boxes are outputs. They're like workflow outputs, PDF files, can't get away from them. Bracelets, so we do have bracelets, there's a physical component to this. And external processes. So this app doesn't cover everything at this time, and we do need to interface with legacy processes that occur, either legal or regulatory or whatever. You need to be able to take the data out, stamp it, and provide it to the next flow. Here's a screenshot of the application. As you can see, it's a very clean interface. You have your four primary uses up there. You can see the migrant data. They're grouped by their bracelet ID. You can correlate information. You can bring in a whole bunch of metadata that we weren't tracking before, and we can extract that metadata into meaningful information now. This will be, it doesn't integrate right now with our biometrics at sea, but biometrics is a huge factor in this. We like to find repeat offenders or people with warrants or people that are terrorists, as I mentioned. So pulling that information is incredibly important. And also the family management. This allows us to very clearly manage a family unit and do it at the bracelet level as well, so we know exactly who's with who. Here's a screenshot of the PDF generation. So we can create PDFs. This is a DD 1149 transfer form. It's established responsibility over something. So this transfer form is completely filled out based on the data in the app. You can save this, you can sign it, and you can send it on with the legacy process that you need to integrate with. This eliminates the need to copy and paste data. Here's an example of our mobile app and also the offline capability. So this was a key requirement for us. We had to be mobile and we have to work without any internet connectivity. And so we've established, we did both of those things, and we also brought in the physical aspect where I can print a bracelet and provide that to the onboarding team to track the individuals. And so this all culminates into my journey of how we want to modernize the Coast Guard. So as a cloud guy, I'm a little biased here, right? We're going to modernize on Coast Guard Cloud. But so the core of this is our cloud components. We're in the DoD Impact Level 4, 5 space. We're also establishing an Impact Level 2 space. The Coast Guard is a unique service. We interface with the international community. Some of those international partners don't play well with DoD. So we have to accommodate those requirements as well. But outside the ring, outside the core component, we have our platform services. And these are the core pieces that my branch is responsible for and what we're trying to establish as a landing zone for new capabilities in the Coast Guard. Our data fabric, which we call Surveyor, is a way to pull data together, bring in a data domain team to operate on that data, create data products, and then serve those products back to the Coast Guard for use in mission. That's something we've never done before. We're now pulling in 120 tables from our HR system. Every day, we create 37 data products automatically, and those are being fed into a dashboard right now for our Rating Force Master Chief. Software factory, that's a DoD concept, but that's where we're trying to build organic software capabilities, do DevSecOps, and have a single knowledge repository for our code and our application documentation. Artificial intelligence, we're working on ways to deliver AI as a service. In the future, I would love to connect AI to applications like Mio and provide that as a capability, a secure capability that we've vetted and secured and made available. And then lastly, the low-code platforms, which is why we're here today. There's more than one. They work together. They're a core piece of our offering. It is how we want to deliver really robust application experiences at the speed of need. It allows us to experiment and see what works and what doesn't work. You could even prototype before you move to the software factory. Maybe low code isn't the end game, maybe it's a middle game where you can prove out your ideas. So we want to start evangelizing these concepts and these ideas, because this is how we're going to modernize. This is how we're going to achieve zero trust. And this is how we're going to impact the Coast Guard operational space. Thank you.